Question number 2, we want to sketch the piecewise function. So let's take a look at the first one. So the first function is f of x equals x plus 2. And it's saying here that if x is less than negative 1. Okay, so another way of doing this, it's a little different than the previous example on the assignment that we've done, is that if we pick a value for x, we have to pick all values that are less than negative 1. So we have negative 1, we can pick like negative 2, negative 3. So if we plug in negative 1 into the function, into x plus 2, well, negative 1 plus 2 gives you 1. Negative 2 plus 2 gives you 0. Negative 3 plus 2 gives you negative 1. If we plug in negative 4 plus 2 gives you negative 2. So there are our particular ordered pairs. So if we go to negative 1 and then up 1, there's our first point. If we go to negative 2 and then that's 0. Negative 3, negative 1. Negative 4 and then negative 2. Okay? And so the one thing we need to keep in mind is, since it has to be less than negative 1 and we can't include negative 1, then that means that this point right there has to be an open circle. And so therefore, that's our first piece of this function. Now, let's take a look at f of x equals x cubed if x is greater than or equal to negative 1. So we're going to make another table here. We have our value for x, and we know that it can equal negative 1. So when we plug in negative 1 in for x cubed, negative 1 to the third power is negative 1. Okay, and it's greater than or equal to, so now we're going to have to go to 0. Well, 0 cubed is going to give us 0. Then we're going to go to positive 1. Positive 1 cubed is 1. Let's go to 2. Positive 2 cubed is 8. And now we're going to use these ordered pairs. So we have negative 1, negative 1. And we're going to have a closed circle because it says it's greater than or equal to that number. And then we have 0, 0. And then we have 1 and then 1. And then we have 2 and then 8. Okay, now, but recall, and I'm going to show this on Desmos, we got to make sure that we remember the library of functions. In this library of functions of x cubed, okay, when we graph this on Desmos, you can see that it's graphed like this. So we have this shape. So we got to make sure that our graph is going to be taking this shape here. Now, we also know that at this point here, it starts at the value of negative 1 with a closed circle. And so therefore, this is the graph of this piecewise function. And now in part 3, we want to find the domain of this function. Well, if we look at the domain of this function, we start at negative infinity. We can continue on going towards this direction, okay, because it's going to include that. Now here at negative 1, we have an open circle at the top, but we have a closed circle, so that means we're still including negative 1. And so we're going all the way to positive infinity. So therefore, the domain of this function goes from negative infinity to positive infinity.